will start, and I'm really happy and proud to introduce General Director of Amrest Group, Abdalla Hafez, who
Hi guys.
find his time, made a long travel, especially for you, and we really appreciate his time, and we'll be happy to hear what he can share with us about the experience of this prominent company and the experience in doing business in Russia and the development of the company.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Sure, thank you. So, guys, I'm very happy to be here today to share with you some of my experience, which I believe it's more into reality, because during our life we study a lot about theoretical ideas about things which could happen, which happens in US, happens in Europe, happens in Far East, but whenever we come to the reality, there is always big or huge challenge and big difference. So I'm going to share with you today my experience, my reality, what happened with me actually within the last 15 years. We're going to do sort of accent on the crisis and the Russian market and how to act in such a situation. But the most important thing would be the case study, the real case study, which I would love to share with you. And would be great if we can get sort of feedback from you after the case study, so you can share with me what you think, how we can solve such a situation, which any one of us could be in the future. So quickly by myself, I'm 38 years old, and I'm General Director for the Amrest business in Russia. For you, just to consider this business, it's a company worth, which the business I'm responsible for is a company worth more than 300 million euros. Of course, I started in early 1997. I started working in restaurants in Cairo. I worked in Little Caesars Pizza, American brand, as a cook in the kitchen, prepared the pizza, cleaned the floor of the kitchen, and made everything as all the young generation starting. Worked in Nathan's American hot dog. It's a very famous brand in Coney Island in New York. Had the privilege also to work with a great brand like Pizza Hut. I know Pizza Hut maybe not very famous in Russia, but actually it's a huge brand in US and in Europe. But what I want to share with you today is a very important part of my life. It's my experience with a company called Americana. It's the biggest restaurant company in the Middle East. And exactly I want to share the part in Kazakhstan. I used to work in Jordan at this time when I was asked to come to Kazakhstan to start a new company. And believe it or not, at this time, worked in the US, partially in Middle East. When they told me the name Kazakhstan, I thought it's like Afghanistan. So when I wrote on my Facebook account, I'm moving to Kazakhstan, a lot of comments were, when did you join the army? Yes, so Kazakhstan as a country was not that famous, was not that known at this time. And at 2008, 2009, when I started, it was just the heat of crisis worldwide. At this time, I had a capital from the company, mother company, $4 million. And the plan was to launch multi-brand company in Kazakhstan, KFC, Pizza Hut, Hardee's, Costa Coffee, different brands. The $4 million, for your estimation, is enough to build, I would say, 5, 6 restaurants. So we started, and directly after 8 months, I received a call from the head office telling me, close the company and come back, we don't have any more money for you. So that was a reaction for the crisis. Most of the big companies, whenever there is a crisis, start to reduce their spending, especially outside of the main market or startup market. They intend to close or kill all these small projects because they need cash. They need more cash to generate. So at this time, I received this call and I had to close the company and go back. But the good news is I decided to challenge them. I said, okay, the cost of closing the company will be $1 million. So if we want to close our debts, give the employee all the salaries, and end up our lease agreement or rent agreement from the shopping center where we had the location, we have to pay a lot of money. So I will need another $1 million from you to close the business and come back. So the other option is just leave me on my own and we will prove. The short story end, we ended up in 8 years with these $4 million with zero capital transfers for me, that this company became a company with over $100 million assets. So this is my biggest success story in my life, of taking a capital in a crisis time of $4 million and turning this capital to $100 million. It seems to a lot of people that this is only theoretical, that this is very hard, how you've done that and how you made that, but that was a crisis. And there is a say which is saying what doesn't kill you make you stronger, yes? When you hit a really big situation, really big problem, you get stronger. So today, this is a big part of my life, or of my success story, which I want to share with you. And I'm sure with this world, with a lot of changing, you will face a lot of this situation in your life. When you start a project, when you start a new company, and all of a sudden some change will happen, because in our world today, a lot of changing are coming every day. I remember recently we started a project which is a self-service kiosk. Who from you go to McDonald's or KFC or Burger King? There is now a machine where you order by yourself. And at the end, we believe that today this technology will be removed by voice control. So like Alexia or Alisa, you will go to the restaurant with a face recognition and you will just talk and say, I want to eat the same food as I had yesterday. So there is completely new technology going very fast. So basically, I don't know, I think I should sit. So I want the pillars. My presentation today is just one slide, this slide which is in front of you. I just intend to make it very simple and very easy so everyone can get something helpful and beneficial. I would divide my presentation today into 4 pillars, and those 4 pillars what you need to do whenever you have a crisis situation. So in Kazakhstan, when I started at 2009, I had a crisis, world crisis, and the company had to sell a lot of assets, and there was a short in cash, and it was actually very tough and difficult situation when the end of the month comes and you don't have enough cash to pay the salaries for the employees. And we had to do a lot of sacrifice. We had to sacrifice a lot of things. So I sold my company car in one of the months to pay the salaries for the employees. We talked to the suppliers in order to give us a longer period in order to pay for them later on. We talked to landlord. We talked to everybody just to try to control the cash. So one of the most important things is to control the cash. Nevertheless, those 4 pillars I believe are very important for anyone who's managing the company within the crisis. The first one is information. I'm always saying information is power, because the more information you have about the country, about the business, about the situation of the company, the more you have a correct decision taken. Information connection, usually people think that collecting information would be only through the company or through the media. Nevertheless, I would really recommend for you to collect the information from the people in the lower level in the company. So the best information I got in my life was from cashiers, not from my assistants, not from the GM or the territory or area coaches, but from the cashier who every day interact with the customer. And those information nowadays are even collected in a different way, using the whole technology, using the kiosk. Today, even the menu board, which we see in the restaurant, is like nice digital menu board. Those digital menu board are updated or upgraded in many countries with eye detectors, so they can collect how many times this person came to this restaurant. So it can read the shape of the customer even passing from the restaurant. It can read the sex of the person who's coming, the age, the country, even sometimes it can ethically say those people are coming from which country. And all this data which you generate can create for you a huge amount of information which you can use in the futures, which we call it the database. If we take an example here in Russia, as of today, when we talk about Yandex or Delivery Club or all these aggregator company, they have their wealth today is more into the database, the data which they collect from the customer, not the profit they generate by doing the service as much as the data they collect. So I don't know if you know, Yandex is growing now not only in search system or delivery system, but they go even behind that. So they managed to do sort of integration with Sberbank, which will allow them in the future to control almost 80% of the data of the country, which can give them idea of the customer habit, on the trends, what would people eat, what would people buy, what will people, where will people travel. And gathering all this data, you can offer a fantastic solution. I would share with you a trial happened by KFC in France, that one of aggregator even used this data to generate pre-order for the customer. So you're at lunchtime at your office, and just 10 minutes before your lunch, you receive an SMS that your order is coming to you. So it ends up that people don't even answer, don't even order the product. They just at their work, and 5 minutes or 10 minutes before the lunch, they receive an SMS that your order in your way. And you have the option either to decline or accept. But believe it or not, the hit rate is almost 85%. So 85% from the customer accepted this order, which is telling us that the data will be almost priceless in the future, because it will be really very important, and no companies in the world will be able to work without a database. That's also learning of the buying habits. When we now want to select a location to open a business or to open a restaurant, we use this database. All of us now, or maybe most of the people, using credit card buying stuff from supermarket, from shopping center. And this data actually goes to the bank's aggregator, which can generate for you also in the future what people buy, and for how much, and when people buy this product, in which area. And that helps us in the future to know where exactly we need to open our restaurant or our shop. What exactly people would buy or would actually buy. So we can see in our kiosk now, in the restaurant which is located in the city center, that we sell more for foreigners or English people than Russian people. So in the summertime, we generated, because now in the kiosk you have the option to select the language, either for us now, either Russian, English, or Chinese, or Spanish. And believe it or not, in some cases we had more Chinese orders than English or Russian orders, which can help us in the future to produce the meeting product on this restaurant. So you can come up with more maybe Asian product in KFC, which will meet the demand. So there is a huge connection in the future between the data and the business of the company where you go. It helps also to manage the information, help you to manage also the cost of sales and cost of labor. So the average cost of sales for the product any one of us buys from McDonald's, KFC, Burger King, or the other brand is between 35 to 40%. So let's say you buy a product for 100 ruble, the actual cost of this product is 35%. But there is different aspect for the cost, like cost of labor, the rent, utilities, and so on. Gathering the proper information about the data production located in, I don't know, in Russia or in Europe will help you. Also, the data and information will help you to reduce this cost. So, believe it or not, in Scandinavian countries like Norway, Finland, Sweden, there was always a problem for KFC to enter those countries because the cost of labor was really expensive. So brands such as KFC won't survive there. But today with the technology, with the kiosk, with all automation, we managed to reduce the cost of labor. So now we can see that KFC is entering soon all these Scandinavian countries. Maybe this is a surprise for some of you, but believe it or not, that KFC using technology and data managed to reduce the cost of labor in order to enter those countries. Also for cost of sales, today we have KFC here in Russia in the city of Murmansk, Arkhangelsk, Severodvinsk. By the way, KFC in Murmansk is the most northern KFC in the world. Without using the right data, the right logistic channel, we could have never be able to open in such a place and sending the product every day to such a city, which is 1,500 kilometers, almost far from St. Petersburg. So the whole future, the whole world is going to be absolutely depending on the data and the information, and this has to be bear in mind for any of you. If you're going to do consultancy, if you're going to do management, if you're going to do anything, the information has to be number one priority for you. The more information you will have, the more powerful and the more stronger the company will be. About the business strategy, I would say here you have to go with balance. A lot of people in the crisis time end all the long-term project and just focus on short-term. As I told you, the previous company I worked for, whenever the crisis come, so decided to cut all the baby project and focus into the project which is generating money. Believe it or not, Amrest, the company I'm working for, whenever there's a crisis in Russia, we intend to do more business, simply because this is the best cheap time to do business. So in 2008 and 2009, although I did not work in Amrest, but this was a year where the most of the new restaurant was opened by Amrest, simply because it was the cheapest time where you can get the best rent agreement, best real estate options, and best construction prices. So sometimes the crisis can help the company to grow faster rather than to shrink. But of course you have to have the right balance, because also you have to manage your income long-term and short-term. Managing cost. I talked last year to Muhammad Labbar, who is the CEO of AMR company. For you, whoever from you been to Dubai, definitely saw Burj Khalifa, the tallest building in the world. So the Burj Khalifa belonged to AMR company, who this man is the CEO. And I shared with him he shared with me some feedback and experience, and he mentioned that the only way to live currently in this world is always to leave the crisis period, because the world is changing so fast to that level that you can expect the crisis at any moment. So the company and his team are leaving actually the crisis every year. Although there is a crisis or there is no crisis, they're leaving the crisis. And managing the cost. A lot of companies now intend to use outsourcing. Outsourcing is becoming very cheap and very efficient when it comes to the startup company, rather than building your own team who will create for you, I don't know, the finance, who will take the salary, accounting, or will take the logistic, HR, and all this stuff. Outsource is becoming very cheap and very applicable, especially for the companies at the startup or newly open. And that's what we call it, flexibility of the company. When you have outsource, you can be completely flexible. You can definitely in 1 second change your strategy and be able to open in different cities. I would take from flexibility of the company, that you can change in the crisis completely the company business. Amrest is a big example for that, because if we look to Amrest today, in the past it been doing only restaurant, but today we are doing aggregator. We have Delivery Hero, Glovo, two of the biggest aggregator in Europe. We have now the supply chain company, which is doing supply chain for our restaurant or for other restaurant. And we have what we call it the franchise business. So being able to be flexible and change the company strategy quickly will be very important in the future, especially that the world and the business in the world is changing so far and so dramatically. The last thing, and this is what also goes under business diversification. The last thing I want to talk about is leverage of resource. We are training we are doing training for our employee to be cross-functional. Our employee can work in the kitchen, can work in the cash, they can come to office and work, and this is something really I've seen in Samsung in South Korea, how they managed to train their people to be able to work in different areas on different functions in the factory. The benefit from that is also simply those people will be able to create a super new knowledge. In the past, we all thought that knowledge plus knowledge equal to knowledge, but actually knowledge plus another knowledge equals absolutely completely new knowledge. And I've shared this experience also with Samsung when they mentioned that the IT director been moved to sales department. So when he talked to customers, he could explain for them a unique option in the phones, unique options on the product provided by Samsung, and that gave them a fantastic, option or leverage to this. Also, one of the things I heard when the sales director came to work in the manufacturing in the factory, he knows all the needs of the customers. He knows what customer think and what customer need, so he managed to produce this in the factory. Leveraging is also doing service for other companies, and if your guys think about company as, again, I'm using Yandex because this is a visible. If Yandex started in the beginning using as a search engine in the internet like Google, now Yandex has leverage and served other customers as KFC and McDonald's by doing delivery. They're doing taxi business. They're doing, real estate business. If we look today, the biggest car company in the world, it will be definitely Uber, not Mercedes or BMW, because Uber has more, I would say, transactions than BMW or Mercedes. So, and they are not producing, they don't produce the car. Also here we can take the example of Google and big digital companies who started to produce car and go to car industry because they leverage again on what they have from the skills and so on. The last two things I would say is the future of digital. Of course, we all know the importance of digital, but the secret of digital will be that everything in the future will be controlled by digital. Everything we will have will be connected to digital, and if people won't do digital, they will stay behind. There is a say that in order for the business services in the future to stay alive, not to bankrupt and not to close, is either by two options, either to do it super awesome or super easy. Yes. So if you have a brand, let's say a restaurant or any brand, you have only two options to do. Either to do a super awesome brand, so super awesome experience like product where the customer cannot have it anywhere else, or to do it super easy. So it will be a product which is super easy. You pay by Apple Pay, or you just voice control like Alexia. I was in US in the summer, and we had a session about the cinema industry. Yes, in US, when Netflix and all this home movie engine started, there was a huge risk for the cinema theater in US. And the only way for the cinema theater is to come back to life again, that when they started to move their strategy to make the experience super awesome. So they came up with IMAX, they came up with food service during the movie, so the waiter will come and take your order while you're watching the movie. They came up with the seats which has a massage and flooded like a bed. So with this service, they started to gain back the business and go back to the trend, because actually the world is becoming very scary. Delivery, everything will be delivered in the future when we see the program like Alexia or Aliesa in the future. Now this system will completely order for you everything you want without even asking you. And the biggest risk we face with those engines, that in the future, if our customer would ask this artificial intelligence system that I would like to eat KFC as an example, this system will come and tell him, but there is a better offer for McDonald's. Let me order for you from McDonald's. So in the future, we will not need to convince the customer as much as we will need to convince this artificial machine. We've seen this with Amazon, and we've seen in the Silk Valley how the system decided to choose different chicken brand rather than KFC because they have more high likes on the Instagram and higher feedback in Instagram. So we believe that a lot of industry in the world will be in a risk if they will not move themselves and think out of the box. This is pretty much everything. The only thing I would like to do with you, I have a small case study before the Q&A, or we can do the Q&A first. If you have any question about what I shared with you about the industry of restaurant or fast food, or Russia overall, the Russian market or European market, I'm very happy to share with you. Yes, please.
Okay, thank you so much. My name is Nikita. I'm a graduate student of GSOM of 2013.
Very nice, very nice to talk to you, Nikita.
By pure coincidence, I run the company which manufactures advertising, facades, salmon furniture for McDonald's.
Wow, yeah.
And we also work with KFC, but unfortunately we don't work with Amrest. So
okay.
If I had a chance, I can.
Of course, of course.
After the meeting, yes. So just pure coincidence, I'm here. But now question. So, you know, crisis management is cool, yeah, but this bad thing in crisis management is control, I think. You have moved from good CEO to bad CEO and start to control people more carefully, I would say. So what kind of control metrics or KPIs you use specifically for the crisis management versus the normal, regular situation inside the company?
So simply, thank you, Nikita, for your question. It's a very, very good question. Actually, what we have in our company culture and what we have in many international culture is the trust with the people. Yes. So during the crisis time, we just ask the people to come up with their own plan to get the the engagement. So simply in the crisis, and in both in crisis and non-crisis. In non-crisis, we intend to do more project, more more long-term project. Whenever we have a crisis management, the best thing to do with your team is to ask your team about their own plans. So just come to them and tell, here is the situation, and this is what we do. Svetlana with me from the company, this is what we do. We say, guys, we have a situation that we have to cut this amount of money, and this is all what we have. Please come up and tell me what would you sacrifice, what would you do, and what you not. And let the people decide. Let your team decide. We don't ever control for them. We don't tell people, stop traveling, yes? Because there might be a critical situation, and by not traveling, the company will hurt or they will lose more money. And by telling them what to do, you're just damaging your company. So just tell the people to come with a plan which will help the business and continue saving money. I will give you as an example. This year we have a tough time, yes? Starting from this year in 2019, there was an increase of VAT, yes, VAT. And we couldn't pass this VAT on the prices for the customer. So we had a situation which is hard, tough situation, because VAT increased and our prices are including VAT, value added tax. And simply we talked to the team. And believe it or not, the team came back with fabulous idea, like let's have our weekly meeting rather than physical, we will do it by Skype. Let's remove alcohol from our retreats. Let's reduce our bonuses or take our bonuses later on. So there was a lot of ideas, and when the team comes and share with you these ideas, it's really fabulous and helpful. So this is my answer, just simply ask your team for their engagement, and this will be the fabulous solution, and let the team share their feedback, because there is a lot of things which are happening, especially in Russia. I would tell you that the people knows the right thing, but they are afraid to share their opinion or feedback, because
Thank you for the answer, but that's the problem in Russia. Like if you have a meeting room with like 9 people, 9 managers sitting, and you're the CEO, and you're asking for the feedback, they will never be actually honest with you, So how you make them push? How you push them to speak to? Like we are not in the US, right? So
I don't ever tell the people what to do. This is my secret of management. I ask people what we should do. I learn from them. So, and believe it or not, when I came to Russia, there was really very tough situation, because there was old management, old culture that nobody can talk. If the boss is talking, nobody can share his feedback. And it was a disaster situation that people were afraid to share their opinion. And that would cost company more money than you ever can imagine. So what we have part on our core values. So Amrest has a core values, and part of our core values is sharing feedback. So you have to share your feedback, and your bonus system is connected to those core values. So in our company, if you don't share feedback, you will lose this point of sharing feedback, and you will get less bonus. Also, whenever we see a boss or CEO punishing someone for sharing his feedback, this person has to be either warned at the beginning or dismissed from the company, because this is part of the culture of the company, of sharing the feedback, because those people knows much more than what you know, and this is how it works. Yes, please. So actually, I'm not responsible for KFC as a brand. We are just a franchisee company, Amrest, which is working with a brand KFC. But what I know that KFC is launching, I think next week, they will open the first casual dining, they call it Sanders Grill. So they want to try the new trend of healthy food. If you ever go to Scandinavian countries, I like Scandinavian countries very much, by the way, I like to travel there. You will see that the trend of healthy food is growing unbelievably. I was in Finland and I've seen that most of the restaurant now is trying to do salads, do healthy stuff. And a lot of people feel that KFC is fried chicken and the fried is oil and oil is not good. And the girls in Russia are all actually very much taking care of themselves. They all looks fit, nice and pretty, and oil sometimes for them is against the diet. So the company, as the KFC company strategies, they want to have alternative to try, because this is also very big risk, yes. Changing the strategy of the company is not that easy. So I think the only 2 restaurants in Moscow will be as a trial to see the reaction, because again, there was a famous brand called Hardee's in Australia, and they made a research on what customer wants to eat. They found a lot of customer wants to eat healthy food. The majority of customer want to eat healthy food, super diet food, and so on. So they changed the menu, and the ending results was a drop in sales by 20%, because not always what customer want or feel that they want to eat healthy is what they do. Yes. Any other questions? Okay, we will start here then. Okay.
Thank you very much for your talk.
Thank you.
Very interesting. I wanted to ask you why did you choose Russia to do business and from the
Okay, why did personally or the company? I would share the company. Yes, okay. So the company decided to do business for Russia. So Russia is a huge market. If you calculate the population in the European Union, about 500 million, yes. But Russia itself is more than 100 million. So Russia is a huge market. Russia is still virgin market. There's still a growing trend in Russia for food and business. Russia is absolutely cheaper when it comes to investment comparing to Russia. If you compare the rent in any location in Europe versus the rent in Russia, Russia will still today, with this devaluation happened to the currency, will be of course cheaper than Europe. Salaries in Russia is much cheaper. If you compare, as an example, average salary in Russia as percentage from sales is about 18%. In Europe now we are talking about 25, 26%. So definitely Russia can generate more profit for the any companies. Russia has more, I would say, potential when it comes to, as a virgin market, more potential to grow. If you see the saturation of, I don't know, McDonald's as an example in Germany, and McDonald's in Russia, you will see in Germany probably more McDonald's than Russia. So if you divide the amount of restaurant per capita in Europe, you will be surprised that maybe it's 4 times or 5 times compared to Russia. You calculate all the restaurant, you calculate the population and divide the restaurant by population. This is called restaurant per capita. You will find that there is huge competition and huge challenge in Europe comparing to Russia. So actually I'm looking to our company different markets. In every market we have a challenge. We have devaluation in Hungary as an example. There was, I don't know, in France there was some also action in the street with this red yellow vest thing. In Spain there is Catalonia versus Madrid, they want to separate. So actually there is no country with no issues. Every country in the world has an issue. So if Russia has sort of sanction or crisis, I would say there will be a time when it will pay back, because again, with all my respect to all these challenges and sanctions, business still growing, restaurants still opened, a lot of things happen. So this is absolutely why we choose Russia. It's gross. Yes, if you're looking for the gross, it's Russia.
Thank you for your presentation. My question is pretty similar, but could you state for being an international branch, could you state the greatest advantages and then greatest disadvantages of being in Russia or doing international business?
So greatest advantage, I would say it honestly, is the learning we are getting and the people. the people in Russia are actually very good, I would say, calibers. They can sacrifice their personal life for business and for focusing in the work. They are more disciplined, I would say. But of course, they don't know maybe they don't know all the rights, or maybe they have to work harder historically. So now I would say we are taking a lot of calibers and a lot of candidates from Russia and send them to Europe to teach and help the business. I would add to the advantages gross. In Russia, there is a lot of white space, I would say, where you can open the restaurant. While in Europe, it's very hard to find a location or a place where you can open your restaurant. So I would say the biggest two advantage in Russia is actually, number one, the people, the calibers, and the second is the white space, because there is a place for growth. The biggest disadvantage, I would tell you, the bureaucracy. Yes, because the Russian law is built on the Soviet Union time. There was time when this commercial law, I would say, it's not quickly upgraded or updated as it should be. So give you an example, the regulation of opening the restaurant. If you go with all regulation, you usually need 6 months to prepare all those regulations and to get all these approvals. While in Europe, the regulation is less and more easy and more logical because they update this regulation on a time base. The second disadvantage for the Russian market, I would say, is the logistics, because the distance between cities is huge, and sending the product or sending the team to open, you need to always prepare in advance. Sometimes you have higher sales, but in order to send them a new product, you need at least 2 days or 3 days. Let's take an example, Vladivostok or Murmansk or Arkhangelsk. This is, I would say, disadvantage. I wouldn't say sanction is a disadvantage. I wouldn't say currency is disadvantage. I wouldn't say, I don't know, weather is disadvantage. All this stuff is absolutely acceptable and absolutely okay, and we have to do and work with them, at least for our company or for my point of view. Thank you. If this is everything, we have a small case. Yes. So just guys, I just want to share with you, I'm not here to give you any examination. It's not completely, Svet, it's not opened. No, there is a small part down here is not visible. I don't know, maybe we can have it. Yes, like this is much better. So guys, I'm not here to give you an examination or anything. I'm just want to share with you one of the case which happened with me and could happen with you as well. When the company comes to you as a general director and tell you, the shareholders or the investors come to you and tell you that there is a crisis and we need to stop investing you or to eliminate your investment. So here is the case. You're a general director for a company called Meals on Wheels, and you are located in Russia. You have many cities, and all of a sudden, you can read, I can read for you the case. At the crisis time, your mother company stopped further investment in your market and told you that you are on your own. Considering the fact below, how would you manage your cash and investment? So you have 120 store, let's say, call it store, not restaurant, because it could be fashion or anything. You have 120 store. And those 120 stores generate yearly 100 million ruble as a cash flow. So this is a cash available. But you have a commitment, you have a franchise, and you have a commitment to open 10 new stores every year. An average investment for one store is 10 million ruble. And also you have a commitment to do 5 renovation every year from the existed 120 restaurant, and each renovation costs 2 million ruble. You also have a plan to do a new IT platform which will improve the profitability, and this IT platform costs 5 million ruble. You also need to spend 10 million ruble for the yearly learning and training and team building for the team. Nevertheless, the contingency for any case or any situation could happen during the year has to be 10% of the yearly cash flow, which is 10 million. I intend in this cash flow in this case study to use very simple numbers. It's not a math test or mathematical test. It's more into how you think and how your mind is opened. And I just want each of you to maybe take a picture of the case or write the case and think of a solution for 10 minutes, how they will do it, and maybe later share it with guys. Let's wrap up a bit. We can start with Nikita's group. This seems to be.
It's fine, I can explain.
Okay. So
the logic was quite simple. So we have to negotiate somehow, at least for the first half of the year, with the mother franchise, right?
Okay.
So we first try to convince the mother franchise that we open first half of the year five restaurants.
Okay.
Which means that it's 5 to 50 million we spend, and we assume that within 6 months to reconstruct them. So after 6 months they generate for us profit, which is approximately 2 million from the new 5 restaurants coming to us. So we're left with 100 minus 50 plus 2. We're left with 52.
Okay.
Okay. We also need to do the renovation. Renovation is very important because we think that we can't cancel the renovation, because if you renovate the location, it's already profitable location, right?
Sure.
Probably, if it's selected and to renovate. So we have to do this renovation. We do this renovation for 10 million. We're left with 42 million. And we assume that the new renovated restaurants after 6 months start to bring us more cash, right? Because they're renovated.
Sure.
So we left with, let's say we assume they bring us 1 million more. So we're left with 43 million. And we still have to spend for the IT platform, early team building, and left 10 million of this for the contingency, right? So we think that IT platform is important, and we think that we have to innovate even during the crisis time, because if we don't innovate, we die. So we use the new platform. New platform gives us at least 5% return on investment first year, so we're left with 44 million rubles. Minus 10 for team building and training, because we want to keep our team happy even during the crisis time. And we want to train them how to handle that crisis time. So we're left with 33 million, and we're still left with 33 million and 10% for contingency. So potentially we can, after 6 months, come to franchise and say, like, okay, look guys, we can build 2 more restaurants, so this will fill your plan by 7 restaurants.
Okay, so in your strategy, you decided to compromise on the number of the restaurant and to convince the mother company to reduce the
see how it goes,
yeah.
and then renegotiate again after 6 months.
Okay, it's an interesting approach. I would say I would use such approach to reduce the value. Yes. So half of the 100, yes. That's so interesting, and really thank you, Nikita. This is what we're looking for, is just thinking out of the box, because I know that 100 million is all what you have, but actually what you need is more than 100 million, so you have to sacrifice something. So it was a very interesting approach.
Yeah, and I don't know what are the penalties from the brand franchise if I don't fulfill the requirement. Yeah, potentially they don't want to lose such a partner as me, so they're going to give me time, right? And so it's better for them agree to negotiate with me now and not lose me now than to not negotiate, right?
Of course, I agree with you. Maybe.
We discussed, we had like a similar approach. Like they had, first of all, what we were a bit like wondering about is like 100 million rubles, 120 restaurants. It might be that there are some restaurants which are not working at a profitable level. So
Sure.
it might be that they have around also like to look with the brand franchise to not open 10 new stores due to the difficult financial situation. We also assume that if we have 120 restaurants of them, they're also maybe happy if we don't get straight away bankrupt because we can't pay the new restaurants. And instead of opening new restaurants, that we would maybe focus more on renovations to improve the customer experience in the existing prime locations we have. So it means that there will not be, oh, it gets cheaper, or it's difficult, so I go to the competitor, but that we give something more like in this difficult time where customers can enjoy. We also said that the IT platform needs to be invested. It's like very essential that this kind of opportunities are exploited in the right way, in the right time. But the team building, it's like you can't stop training your people. If you stop training, you will eventually probably fail. So training is something which is very important and needs to be done. However, I guess like in every corporation, you can save money in how and where you train them. Maybe you don't have to fly to Bahamas with your management to a 5-star hotel, 2 weeks training. You can maybe
Sure.
also here at GSOM rent a nice facility. So there might be also a certain way to save money.
Thank you very much. What's your name? Sorry. Michael. But Michael, guys, mentioned something very interesting here, that if you have a losing location at the crisis time, you might consider closing them, because that's something which is draining your cash. So this is actually one of the approach we use sometimes in the crisis time. All the restaurants generating negative cash flow for a year or more, we should take a brave decision and close them. Sometimes we have the heart that these restaurants or stores are part of like our babies, so we don't want to close them. Maybe in the future, maybe we can do something and increase the profitability, but sometimes you have to take some tough decision and close this restaurant, because this is a huge drainage. Yes, and also for the training and team building, this is very valid point. We can do, rather than collecting the whole team, we can do Skype training, or rather than doing team building in Bahamas, we can go to, I don't know, nice Petrozavodsk, or I don't know, here, nice city in Russia, and have a team building or sort of party, open air or dish party or something like that. So really thank you, Mike. For the team in the center, any good ideas?
We are very, very smart at saving as much money as possible and the rest of the money as we can use most of it commitment, but we have to negotiate terms because it's not possible. Not that much money available to establish 10 new restaurants.
So what do you think to have in the crisis time? Would it be better to have the war or the challenge with one part or with all parts? Because actually the thing I like in your approach and in your approach is also, rather than start to cut IT, cut training, I don't know, cut renovation, it's sometimes it's rather to bring the problem with only one side, with the mother company for opening. So you sacrifice only one thing, but you save all the business, rather than start to cutting everywhere and have an issue everywhere, because sometimes you end up in the crisis time, people are more sensitive. So if you say, okay, we are canceling the yearly parties this year, people start, this is because of crisis, so they just started to compromise on us, so it's better to leave this company, they will not feel good. Or you cancel the ITO, so we don't have future, and in the future you will face. So sometimes, yes, you might go for something, a big bulk, or something really will make a change, and just do it. Rather than fighting everywhere on all fronts, you just fight on one front. So this is really good insight from you guys. The group in the back.
We have an easy approach. We know that our mother won't give us more money, so we need to have a surplus. We don't know the equity, so we started just seeing the keep our lifetime. We can't cut in our original stores because that is where our money comes from. And I really like Michael's idea of going through the cash flow and the line analysis of the existing stores. We definitely agree with keeping our staff and our customers, our existing customers and our existing staff happy. We can't cut their training, we can't cut their satisfaction in the workplace. And also the renovation is highly important because if we open 10 new stores, they may be in a super location, but if our existing stores go bad, renovation goes down and people start visiting, our lifetime is lost and we have spent huge money on investment. So we thought about cutting 4 new stores, opening 6, keeping the surplus and taking it.
Thank you very much. And also here is something really very important. In the crisis time, you might move your investment to the business which is on hand and guaranteed. So a lot of companies in the crisis time intend to move their cash to what is guaranteed. And one of the guaranteed businesses is existing restaurant where you will do renovation. So renovation is really important because this is guaranteed business. You know, you put money, you already have the sales, you have the P&L, you have the income. So rather than putting the money in the new stores where you don't know you will have sales or not, because opening new location is always risky. You never know what will happen in this new location. And usually the market is shrinking whenever there is crisis. So opening new stores, yes, there is a benefit that you will get a better lease agreement, better rent, and better construction cost. But also opening new stores in the crisis time is not 100% guaranteed as invested in your existing restaurant where you have already customer database and customer income and customer coming. So this is my insight. I think we covered all the groups. Any other feedback? Yes? Yes, they shared already, yes. So guys, I think we covered all the group. So the idea here is not, as I mentioned, the mathematical. The idea is to put yourself sometimes, by the way, this is a real story. This is real case happened in one of the restaurant company. And this is the example I usually use even with my team whenever we develop them is using a real life situation, a real life example. And that happens and will happen again with many of you. So the only thing is used to common sense. You need to use the common sense and manage the balance your cash flow and balance your company. The only thing I will add here to the case study is, again, asking the team their feedback because one of the situation sometimes we forget whenever we have the crisis is, okay, don't involve a lot of the team. Now we have to take like very straightforward decision. Let's decrease the number of employees. Let's, I don't know, shut some restaurant and so on. But one of the big insight which helps me is asking the team, ask them what you think. And we got a good example that when you ask the team for that, someone will say, I'm ready to sacrifice 2 weeks. I'm ready to take my salary after 2 weeks. The other one will say, okay, I'm 3 weeks. I'm 1 month. So you will get their engagement and they will act as an owner, which is really very valuable. I'm done. If there is any question or anything else needed from me, we can share my contact later. If you need any personal question or any support or any help in your life, I'm always open. At any time. Yes. Okay.
I wonder, usually when the company is in problem, quite a common idea is let's cut like marketing costs because it's like there's no real value in that, right? So some people have like two opposite opinions usually. To cut marketing costs because it's not visualized in profit directly all of a sudden, or not at all, like to keep that because they really need to keep this recognition market and so on. What would you say on that? What would you suggest?
So of course we don't compromise on the marketing in the crisis. I would say you would need even to spend more money in the marketing in the crisis time. So you would go more aggressive in the crisis time, and this is a situation which we face today. We can see that all the brands, either KFC, McDonald's or Burger King, they are going really with a very strong value offers. I don't know, you guys go to the restaurant and you can see there is a lot of aggressive value offer for the customer, and they spend more marketing than in the normal time because the competition increase in the crisis. Yes, so you need to spend more marketing. The only thing I would say, there is two ways of marketing. There is direct marketing and there is long-term loyalty program. In the crisis time, the only shift will happen, we will be focusing more into direct marketing. Not in the branding, not that this X brand is friendly, is healthy, is sort of, yes, of long-term. Not loyalty as much as direct marketing. Come today and you will get this offer 1, 2, 3. So this is the only shift of the moving the marketing budget to the direction. But of course, I think the marketing is, I would say, red zone where you don't touch in the crisis time.
Yes, thank you. And maybe another question, because the students in the course doing business in Russia, currently they have a task, being just first time in Russian, most of them, they are asked to prepare the business plans within months and a half, maximum like 2 months, so they're developing it now, so working on the business idea. What would be your advice? And the business idea that they have, they need to be interesting for some potential international partner, so that would play some role in that, so for potential international business. Maybe you can give some recommendations from your side how you see where the interesting areas that would need development to be more developed and more attractive.
Sure. So I've been involved in doing many business plan, including in Ukraine as an example. I've done business plan for Ukraine, for Kazakhstan, for Finland, for Scandinavian countries, for Norway, Sweden, and Denmark. And even for Russia, for developing different regions. The most important thing, guys, and this is my insight, is executive summary you prepare for your business plan. This executive summary has to steal the heart from the first moment. Yes, you have only one chance to meet any investor. Either you get his heart, get his engagement or not. If in the past the business plan was set for the long term, and after 5 years you will see so on, after 10 years you will have this kind of business, after 15 years. So nowadays investors are looking for a short-term investment. Nobody will wait for 5 years to get his money, for 10 years to get his money. So people want to get a quick wins. And the reason for that, as you know, that trends are completely changing in the world. When mobile business was very profitable and a lot of shops of mobile was there, when, I don't know, cinema was profitable, the business trends are changing and moving very fast. So my recommendation is do a super executive summary rather than details. Investors don't look to the details in the beginning. Details can be sorted up in the beginning. Of course, you need to know it. So have a super executive summary and reflect in your executive summary the quick wins. So don't make a business plan with a long-term wins. Yes, it's needed and we have to have the balance, but all investors now are really very keen about the quick wins, the quick return. I would say in the whole world. I'm sorry to say that. Maybe it's a painful fact, but it's honest fact, yes, because people don't know what will happen in the future. Believe me, on the top of the biggest companies on the world, they don't know what will happen in the future. If in the past we planned for 10 years, now it's very hard because you don't know what will happen next year. There will be a new revolution of technology which will completely kill your business. Yes? Or revolution, yes. So my recommendation again is a good executive summary, good reflection of quick win, and if you can help the investor to sort the investment money, so you will tell him, I will not take directly all your money, I will take by parts. So also this will help. Like we say, when you buy something and you don't pay cash, you pay in terms. So find the solution for the investor in order to know that he will not take this money all of a sudden, because now cash is very expensive. Yes, cash money is very expensive. So this is my recommendation for you guys. Of course, business plan has a structure, and you can, yes, please. So you cannot. Yes, I understand your question. In the past, you could provide a business plan whereas the first 3 years you will have a negative cash flow. Yes, or the first 3 years you will have losses, and from the 4th year you will start to make cash flow, and later on you will cover. As for today, you cannot have a negative cash flow more than 1 year. Yes, so you will have a negative loss. I'm telling you the truth when I meet a lot of investors every day. So if you want to get their heart, you have to reflect that you will start to make cash at least by the middle of next year. Yes, so first year, of course, at any business it's hard to make cash because you have the pre-opening costs and all the stuff. But at least from the second half, you will start to be positive and build the cash. Because return on investment now, a lot of people, especially I would say, I will talk about the Russian as an example, Russian market, people need to get their money within 3 or 4 years maximum. If in the past they will be ready to wait for 7 years, 8 years, now you need to get your money within 3 to 4 years. So try to reflect in your business case that the cash back or the positive will start from the middle of next year, and the return on investment will be within 3 or 4 years. There is many industry, it's possible, and there is many industry and many business which happening like this. And as I give you today, one of the good tips is the outsourcing. Rather than investing and taking a lot of money from the investor to put in the business to do full structure company, you can come up with a couple of people or the key people, and the rest will be completely outsourced. Yes, it's more expensive, but you will need less cash in the beginning to start it.
Leasing as well would be an option?
Leasing, I think the best thing now is leasing. I don't think people should put their money in an asset anymore. Leasing is by far better. Of course, depend on which business, but I'm talking about the restaurant business. Leasing is by far better because we believe that after 3 years, at least 51% of our business will be delivery. So people will not move as now they move. Yes. Also, real estate is in a big risk because people will not need to travel every day to work. A lot of business and companies will work from home. Yes, using technology and digital. So buying apartment in the center of Moscow, as in the past, of central of St. Petersburg, as in the past, will not be important anymore. You can live on the edge of the city or in the forest and still can manage your business through the technology and communication. So I am for leasing, and I think lease is much better for our type of business now. I don't intend to buy or build a restaurant. I would lease and save my cash for more opening and more business. Also, I'm sorry for that, also you eliminate the risk of changing the trade area. So if the trade area in the past was a center of the city, now the trade area could be a new complex or a new shopping center or a new business center opened on the edge of the city. So you cannot sell this anymore. Yes, but if you have a lease, you can easily leave the investment and go open in the new trade area because a lot of changes happen.
From what you're saying, I definitely probably don't need even marketing research or market research, but from your saying, it seems like definitely people in future need healthy food. If they don't travel and don't move anymore from their house as much, definitely probably need
Yes, healthy food is a huge trend.
Not to spoil their health. Really.
Yes, health and exercise, but I think also there is a huge technology coming when it comes to medicine and supplement. So people in the future can still eat unhealthy food but be healthy, or do sort of exercise. It's another area. Because actually meat is something which is coming soon. Yes, you know that the meat will be produced not from the cow but from the lab. Yes.
Yeah, I would hope the future will be the same healthy, same good, and your enthusiastic company will add a lot of good things in the future. Thank you very much for sharing.
Thank you very much. Спасибо огромное.
It's our like branded tie, so you probably need that when you go to the meeting. But thank you very much to talking with us with no ties. Like it was very great.
It's my honor as well to talk to you guys, and as I said, you can get my contact from the university, and at any time I will be happy to answer any of your questions or support. I got many people in my lab who supported me, shared with me their knowledge, which helped me. So I'm ready to pay back and
yeah, thank you very much. In fact, it's a world, it's a changing world, and I would love that. And Russia also will see this kind of behavior, this kind of communication, when everybody trusts each other and they listen to each other and really helping each other. So the future is about helping each other. It's not really about directing or controlling, it's about help. So thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you, guys.